Well, hey, gang, long time no see. Welcome to my new setup. Do you like it?
No.
So, fun fact, I've tried making this video several times now, even all the way back when I was still living in California. And each time I've attempted making this video, there's been more breaking news happening. So I'm just going to talk about what's out there now, and if more stuff happens later on, I'll just make a sequel or something. That said, the past few months have brought an obnoxious amount of change for movies and the theater experience as a whole. So much so that many are wondering if this means the end of big budget blockbusters as we know them. If you've been following the channel, you'll know that a few months ago, I put out a video on the advertising of HBO Max. In that video, I talk about the future of the service and even how it compares with Netflix and Disney+, so if that's something that you'd like to check out, feel free to. But although HBO Max may have started out pushing its back catalog of TVs and movies, the ongoing pandemic really threw a wrench into their plan. I'm sure you're already aware, but Disney was kind of the first one to bite the bullet when it came to releasing a big budget movie in the age of COVID. With the release of their live action remake of Mulan, the Mouse Overlords decided to skip the controversy of showing it in theaters and put it exclusively on Disney+. That is, for an additional $30 on top of the monthly subscription price consumers were already paying. On the flip side of that, Warner Media around this time released the highly anticipated Christopher Nolan movie Tenet exclusively in theaters, which came with its own hiccups. All of that led to Warner Media making the decision to put their 2021 slate of films both in theaters and on HBO Max
the exact same day.
Plus, at no additional price for already paying subscribers, so it's at least a little bit better than Disney's model. Side note, as I've stated before, I am not a paid ad from HBO or Disney or any of that stuff. I'm just a guy in his room who likes talking about movies and the business around it sometimes. So, with that background out of the way, let's take a look at the current climate of movies and how they're being released. Even though I'm not a studio executive or a big-time movie director or anything like that, I have worked production before and I do have degrees in cinema and advertising, so those are my credentials, do with them what you will. Now, obviously with the pandemic being what it is still, studios have been restructuring the model that they've been accustomed to for the past decade in favor of a home distribution model. We saw this last Christmas with Wonder Woman 1984 and Pixar's Soul, both of which were released for free on each respective service. Reviews and opinions of those films aside, both were successful enough to justify both platforms continuing with this release model. Just going off of the Nielsen viewership data for that week alone, it looks like that Soul pulled in about 1.67 billion minutes watched, and Wonder Woman 84 garnered about 2.25 billion minutes. Going off of that information alone, I'd say neither Disney nor Warner Media are gonna stop with this format anytime soon. And it's not just those services either. Netflix, Hulu, and even Amazon Prime have been doing a form of this for years at this point. And even Paramount is rebranding CBS All Access later this year, so get ready for even more streaming fatigue.
When you say we the best, who exactly is we, and how exactly are they the best?
Very simple. We the best.
Okay.
I'm actually working on a script right now that talks about modern streaming services and how they've taken a step back and turned into 90s cable packages. So if that's something that interests you, maybe hit subscribe, maybe stick around. I don't know. Please. Anyways, Ann Sarnoff, the CEO of Warner Media Studios, said that their release plan for 2021 is pretty much exclusive to this upcoming year, but let's be honest, if the numbers keep going up, they're probably going to stick with something like this for the rest of the time. And with Warner Brothers being the size that they are and the fact that they're now owned by AT&T, and with Disney even following in the same footsteps of this release format, I figure it's only a matter of time before the rest of the studios follow suit. So this new release structure isn't necessarily a bad thing for these movie studios, but the same cannot be said about movie theaters and the people that own them. I personally grew up going to a small hometown theater pretty often, and I loved every second of it. Shout out to the Arley Theater in Mason City, Illinois for shaping who I've become. So in no way do I want movies to stop being shown in a theater environment. Frankly, it's the best way to see a big budget movie or any blockbuster of any kind. But reality being what it is, a lot of people still don't feel safe going in a crowded space for long periods of time. Thankfully, many of these theaters have been able to book private parties or hold reduced number showings, but they're definitely in a downswing right now when it comes to the business. To add wood to the fire, AMC CEO responded to the HBO Max same-day announcement with a, less than thrilled tone.
Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize HBO Max's startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense.
I understand being frustrated in their position, but I'm real tired of AMC pretending that they're the victims of this pandemic. You know, maybe I'm just too cynical about the world's largest movie theater chain complaining about being on the verge of bankruptcy while they themselves have been putting small theater owners out of business for decades.
Jesus Christ.
But I digest my food. Ironically though, Reddit has taken it upon themselves to keep AMC alive, so looks like that problem solved itself.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Looking on a broader scale though, I don't think that the activity of going to a theater will ever fully disappear. Sure, it's definitely in limbo right now, but there's nothing like collectively experiencing art together with a room full of strangers. And I feel like the majority of people understand that. Does it suck that movies may no longer be a singular theatrical experience upon release? Yeah. Totally. But given the circumstances, I don't see a better alternative than this dual premiere setup style alternative. For the diehard moviegoers such as myself, assuming we feel safe and comfortable with it, we'll probably start going back to the theater once everything's back to normal. And for the casual moviegoers, they can still pay for and experience the art form in the comfort of their own homes. Maybe even catch a few movies that they would have missed otherwise.
In theaters and streaming on HBO Max beginning December 25th.
However, for the art house style theaters, this might in fact be the nail in the coffin for many of them. So to any of the staff or the owners of these local venues, please stay strong and remember why you got into this business in the first place. And to anyone wondering how you can help out said businesses, I know a lot of them are offering those private party reservations or curbside concessions, or frankly, you can even donate directly to the source. So all that leaves are the movies themselves. With this change in film premieres, will the number of big budget blockbusters begin to change and dwindle? My bet's on probably. Ever since Jaws and Star Wars, crowds have desired the latest and greatest spectacles that Hollywood has to offer. And I think after the general population is vaccinated and feels safe again, there's probably gonna be a surge in movie theater attendance. But I do think that these multi-million-dollar motion pictures will be seen more as experiences more than anything from this point on. This is gonna sound a little cheesy, but take a look at what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing right now. Up until a year and a half ago, all of their connected storytelling was done through hours-long movies, but that's all kind of changed with the release of their new television show, WandaVision. No spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that, but the show is able to tell longer narratives for a fraction of the price of a normal MCU movie. Same goes for Star Wars, especially since The Mandalorian has been so successful and a ton of spin-offs are already on the way. It seems that Disney is choosing to prioritize TV more than ever, which will likely result in less theatrical releases. That said, it's not like they're cutting off their big movie events, it's just like they're realigning their vision.
Please consider the consequences of your actions.
Okay, they're considered.
And honestly, other studios are probably going to use this to their advantage and fill in the gaps that Disney leaves behind in the calendar, so we're just going to have to see how this one goes. Here's the thing. Ever since I was a kid, I've been told that movie theaters are dying. 3D movies became insanely popular in the late 2000s, and the general response was, oh, this is just a last-ditch effort for movie theaters as a sort of gimmick. And guess what? It totally was, but it kept movie theaters alive long enough for them to add more features and kind of test the markets and see what consumers wanted. Dolby Cinema, IMAX, food brought to your seat, alcohol being served. These features have become less gimmicky and more permanent fixtures in large theaters. And look at it from a filmmaking standpoint. All these directors and filmmakers grew up with this medium, and more likely than not, they want their work to be shown in that movie theater format. Financially, it's a similar comparison. Take for instance whenever digital cameras took over film. Did the industry change as a whole? Yeah, but it didn't die. In fact, the industry grew even more at this point, considering that higher quality equipment was now available to lower budget productions. Maybe this means that TV and video on demand become more of a stepping stone for filmmakers that desire that theatrical release. My whole point of this video is to say that movie theaters aren't going to die, but they are going to have to evolve. What I see happening over the next 5 to 10 years is an inevitable yet necessary divide between art house and corporate theaters. The small ones will continue to value the art form and be a venue for local film festivals and stuff of the like. The larger chains will develop more into hours-long experiences, maybe even dipping their toes more into VR and possibly even 4D. But until then, pop some popcorn, grab a cold drink, and relax at home, because Lord knows we have plenty of options as is. Hey dumpers, thanks for watching today's video. You know, it's been a while, but I appreciate you watching through to the end. If you're new to the channel and you just happen to be joining us, thank you. I got a whole backlog of videos kind of similar to this, so feel free to go to the channel and check it out. Major shout out to Davey Peppers for becoming the latest super duper dude over on Patreon. If you want to support me and the channel, feel free to check out that link in the description below. I just added new benefits for the $5 tier, so if it's something you'd be interested in, it's there if you want it. All that said, guys, I have been Andy, you have been Dandy, and thank you for watching.